Good evening, friends. Thanks for your valuable comments on my videos on Twitter, Who, and Twitter. I make sure I read all of them and post them on social media. As you heard today, Siddharth Pitani is trying his best for bail on the pretext that he's getting married soon. Really, Siddharth, you need to be behind bars, not hiding behind a woman. Today, Deepti Pinniti joins us back and in the reading of part 5 of the SSR Diaries. Welcome, Deepti. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Minaji. Thank you.
We would like you to straight away start, as all our viewers are waiting impatiently to hear you speak.
No, here I would like to go back because the last session where I left. Okay, I will continue it. I will continue from where I left last session after 2 slides, because I think I left 2 slides and people are mistaken that, I mean, he has started writing these drives after the death of Disha.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's not that. That is not the case. He was writing it over a period of time since he began his investigations. Okay, so here I would like to, I think I missed reading out 2 slides, 2 earlier slides. Okay. So people trying to suppress my findings in what is the truth and dictate terms on me whether I should continue or I should not. I am doing my bit to keep that innocent soul motivated on the movie sets. But all I get in return is troll for trying to do what my heart is telling me to do. Jia had gotten to know a lot of things, and my limited interactions with her makes me want to ask these following questions to my mind. Why did Salman Khan transfer 2 crores to the commissioner's account? I found this out and tried to investigate this angle, only to know that the account now ceased to exist as on 30 September 2018. What was the motive behind this transfer? But what is the most shocking is that this transfer has happened on 24th of February 2013. Does this mean that the entire incident was pre-planned and the cover-up was ready even before the crime actually happened? Being Human is an NGO kind of organization, and what are Salman's intentions behind the transfer? Point number 2. Sooraj Pancholi was carrying cash amount of rupees 5 crore. Why was he carrying so much cash? And why was this not brought out when he was arrested? And also when he was in custody? Back then, I was not involved in this case, but a casual interaction with an intoxicated Sooraj and him telling with his own mouth that he was carrying cash to hurry the matter. Where is this leading to now? Point number 3. Jia and Sooraj were partying in Goa. Why did the Atul Agnihotri family join them all of a sudden? And what is the discussion that happened here which made Jia blurt out in her suicide note that Sooraj ruined her Christmas and also didn't spend Valentine's Day with her, and also the promise that was made to her by Sooraj that he will get engaged to her very, very soon? Point number 4. As per the network and tower signals and the story that was put out, Sooraj very well knew Jia was to meet him. But what made him avoid her when she landed up in her house? By telling he is in a meeting with Aditya Pancholi. And the most important matter is that Kangana Ranaut, Sooraj Pancholi and Aditya Pancholi, something seriously is cooking up here. And now when I rewind the entire incident in my mind, I begin to feel everything is going on from the past couple of years is a massive cover-up to establish it for a fact that people are targeting the Pancholi family. So getting back to the initial point, the story of Sooraj sending Jia back is having connections to Kangana in one way or the other. I cannot conclude on Kangana's involvement, but can for sure say one thing, is that she knows a lot about this. And when she is speaking like a loudspeaker, why is she not having answers to my questions or the questions that are being put to her from my trusted sources? Was Jia not a fellow actress? And why is the entire industry trying to play foul with everything when it comes to one question? What is the truth behind Jia Khan? Point number 5. Asif Bhai too has tried his ways out to get to the roots of the matter and is one prime support to me. when this issue is of concern. Of the very few people who are genuinely good, and even Asif Bhai backing off now, gives me the clear cut feelings that this incident needs to investigate it thoroughly and make sure that the truth is found out very, very soon. Within brackets, 18/12, 2018, 18 December 2018. So this particular slide was written December 2018. So we don't know when he wrote this exactly. So let us not jump to conclusions. Let us uh, finish reading everything, and then we can actually make out. Yeah. So now I will start from where I left off, Minaji. Okay. You are on mute. You are on mute.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
tell
here,
me.
I think SSR is showing some kind of doubt about Kangana. So, which is also what we had in
Yes.
mind. See, when we said she did a U-turn. So, yeah, that's also quite clear. Yes, absolutely, Deepti. Please continue.
So here he mentions one incident wherein Jia was told a lie that Suraj was not there, whereas according to the network charts and all the
Yeah,
three Kangana, Aditya Pancholi and Suraj Pancholi were inside the house.
yeah,
So he was wondering why didn't she come out and talk about it in the open when she happens to be a loudspeaker in all other cases?
yeah,
Why
yes,
did she not talk about this thing later on?
yeah, yeah,
So that was what made him more curious,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he set out with the help of Asif. Asif Bhai here is clearly Asif Basra.
Basra, yeah. Also,
Yeah.
one doubt, Deepti, when you talk about, who joined them in Goa, are you talking about Salman Khan's brother-in-law,
Atul
Agnihotri?
Agnihotri. It's
Yeah,
written Atul Agnihotri. He is the same, I think.
yeah, his sister's husband.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
okay,
so.
fine.
Yeah.
Continue. Yeah, please
Okay.
continue. Yeah,
So new sliders start continued. This is from where I left
absolutely.
in
Yeah,
previous sessions. Okay.
yes, yes.
So new sliders start continued from 30. The dirty secrets. My conscience speaks. Continued from three solutions for hiring foreign models. Prostitution. This is one of the main reasons these girls are got. First of all, they don't have any shame. Second, there is no tantrums at all. When it comes to these girls, had been used for prostitution. Most of the times, those who are high on drugs, what more can you expect from such females? I'm sorry for writing this, but this is very much another big reason why these girls are used. But for a moment, even for a moment, have these people thought about these artists for whom this backdrop dancing is their daily bread and butter? And no, these people, what is their fancy? If you want to make it big, either have a big surname or dance to the tunes of the Pied Piper. Blackmailing and honey trapping. This is another major aspect which my soul pains even when I think of it. These girls are almost used by anyone and everyone. If you, while reading this, have the slightest of doubts what I am telling is not true, do a round of study around any of the noted jails in the country. You will get your answers all by yourself. Sometimes these girls work for settlement too. When some issues become a controversy, the easiest way of settlement is satisfy the lust of someone who is powerful or a big part of the system. You can actually walk free. I took notes of all these points after doing intense research around them and studying them thoroughly. But the biggest point is that doesn't for even the fraction of a split second, these people have their conscience prick and speak to them. What they are doing it wrong. And the need to answer for this elsewhere. I think God above sometimes goes into slumber or is purposely trying to test the mantle of the people who actually want to lead a truthful life. The blackmailing chapter doesn't end here. It also continues in the form of collection agents too. Imagine a builder who wants to build a flat or a commercial complex or anything for that matter. If he is clean, there is nothing like it. But even for once, if he has used this for something, understand that I don't want to write it here, but if you are smart enough, get this in the right way. The best word I could use here, if builder has used the girl for someone else also to get his licenses or some other connected work too, then too this web would spin around him, call him for a settlement, and then he can do what he wants to do. If these are not stopped, the society for sure is heading towards a definite black hole wherein there is no way where humanity will sustain, and this means that there will be no values left in the society. Minaji, would you like to say anything here, or shall I continue to the next slide? You're on
Yeah,
mute.
yeah, yeah. This is something, Deepti, that all of us, are very well aware of, because so many television artists have died, on the pretext that they say that they committed suicide, but actually they were murdered. And a lot of film actresses also. So this is something many of us are aware, and what he's saying has just brought it further into our notice.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Please continue.
Okay. So now we need to discuss on the modes of communications these people use as for their day-to-day use, and this for the transactions of anything else. There is a definite way in which these communications happen, because these communications happen in coded language, and these coded languages play a major role and is one of the major backbones of the cabal, because this is the main aspect that plays a very, very important role if you want to bust this cabal. The first and the most important means of the communication, the most important thing that you need to understand here is the role of people who have left this world and the importance they play in this, all the means and aspects connected. And those can be summed up as follows: for the SIM cards, for opening of bank accounts, for creating of Benami properties, for investments, for investing in share markets, deals, investment in crypto and online platforms, for hiding criminals, for unaccounted travel. These things are needed to be discussed now. But this is just an introduction to a huge, huge, huge story to follow, which will shock everyone to the core when the truth comes out as it is, the naked and open. For SIM cards, you might think I am lame to mention about it here. But the SIM card is the most important thing, that is the biggest introduction to the whole story, because the entire game begins here. First, the SIM card is taken, and in order to get this done, and the reason behind the vanishing of the techie from Bangalore, Ajitab, the link lies here. It is not this small, that just for this SIM card thing he was taken away. I will get back to that in detail in the later slides. But here, let me make the other declaration, because this starts another dirty episode to the entire angle of the Bollywood, underworld, politician, and diplomatic cabal. For now, let me put it this way. Before I proceed from here, let me tell you one thing. I'm sorry. Before I proceed from here, let me tell you one thing and make it clear right. I'm sorry. And make it clear right away. If you are a devil, you please leave right away. But if you are the angel whom my virtues might have gotten you to read this from here, every word you read is very closely, and most importantly from here, you will have introduction for around 10 slides. Okay. And then starts the first chapter, the first episode of this journey, wherein once the SIM cards are ready, these SIM cards are always used in normal phones and the calls rarely happen. The main reason these phones are not used for calls much is because these SIM cards are used for bank account opening, credit card cloning, and also generation of fake credit cards. This is mainly used by the underworld mafia. Uses this because when the underworld mafia gets into action on these SIM cards are reused in all these activities. And then the data is carefully scrutinized in such a way, and then the work begins. The SIM cards once used for this will never be turned on. The only use these SIM cards will have is end up being a WhatsApp number and nothing else. The next action that will be taken from here is that the technical team from the underworld gets into action. These numbers are then configured on handhelds, and these handhelds call random numbers and ask for details of the bank account number, date of birth, and other vital information that play a major role in the online banking frauds. Though this might feel easy and foolish, it's a very, very, very technical and highly skilled job, and it needs a lot of planning. God alone knows how the team of engineers who were working on the Aadhaar card scheme, the team was given, I'm sorry, yeah, the team was given too much pressure, and this pressure was given only for one reason. They wanted to understand and study how this Aadhaar network exactly works and how they can use this data to easily use it for everything and anything there were a team of engineers, out of which five were the trump card engineers who had pin to pin info of everything, every single info on how it actually works, what exactly is the method used, and everything. I will explain all this in details and, moreover, help you out with vital informations and the ways how this mess can be sorted out. The thing that you need to understand from here is that there are these sub chapters in the entire sequence of the way how to handle this from here. And unless you understand this table of contents and the introduction around this and how you have to proceed, there is no logical way you can proceed, or you will end up confusing yourself. And by the end of the day, all the effort you put will be useless. And then you will end up being another Sushant Singh Rajput. And so you need to be very careful to understand this in every word of it. Because very soon you will have a shock. Every slide, and moreover, there will be so many instances where you will not believe me, as well as the informations that I will share. When the true faces were exposed in front of me, I myself was not able to get into terms with myself for some days. And I certainly understand that when me, despite seeing it with my own eyes, couldn't believe a lot fact informations which happened in front of me like a movie, you by just reading this might find it difficult for you to believe any word of it. But one truth which should help you believe is that when you are reading this, you should have found it out in the news that I would have been dead. And that is the only reason you are able to read this. Because the only reason I was making notes of this is because of that one call which shook me off my conscience. And I was forced to think, am I awake or am I dreaming? Some projects I was working on got some severe attention, and one such attention was to one such person whom I would never have given it to. And that's one of the main reasons my life went downhill. But as I have kept saying from the beginning, this can actually wait because the mission we are in is very, very important. And if you want to understand the mission, then my story has to wait. But I will give you the context of the call so that you would know why I started this and what made me go deeper and deeper and deeper. I get a call from one Mr. X. For now, let's name him Mr. X because my doubts are still unsolved on who would be reading this. If it is the angel, it's fine. But the devil is there everywhere. And the only reason I'm spelling out every word is because of my own reasons. The first thing here I need to check is that what kind of stuff you are made of, because the person who is of a clean conscience can do it, because just reading and understanding the entire thing and then taking one step at a time is very, very important, because this is something which has so many years of effort of a collective set of people, and moreover there are a lot of sacrifices that have been made by us to reach up to this point. The gentleman on the call was very, very cool and greeted me very, very nicely. I was so shocked that a person whose smile itself is fake and has it written all over the face speaks to me so casually. What is in store for me? The call went further when I instantly realized that this is something to do with vested interests. They wanted my artificial intelligence project to get it attached to data mining projects so that they can find an alternative to break into the biometrics network of so many projects, so that they will have an entire data tank ready and can play with anyone's personal information. Not just this, the actual plan also was to map into the personal data networks of common citizens so that every move could be monitored and every step could be under surveillance. This was a shocker for me. I gathered myself quickly and asked for a face to face meet. I was told that for now the face to face meet would not be possible as there were so many other works that had to be finished before they actually met me. I just nodded my head and said, okay. Thought nodding of head wouldn't be seen to the person speaking on the phone. But I am writing this here is because there is one important trick these people follow here, which I got to know much later. But I need to mention it here itself because these things will help you a lot in your journey. My shaking of the head is explained here in so detail is because they have their eyes on you before even they think of interacting with you. Stalkers in any form, cars, bikes, street vendors, beggars, or simply someone walking up on the street. When I got this call, I was in a cafeteria. Now let me get to why I was explaining everything in so much detail. And also you need to understand one thing here, which is equally important because every step of yours will be monitored, every single step, literally every single step. There will be spies all around you, and they will keep a close watch on you from every quarter. And yes, you will not have any idea where they are, what they do, and how they keep a watch on you. And because you are reading this, and some actions you take can get you in the eyes of these people. But one thing, let me tell you, the way you proceed, and by the time you reach here, some eyes will be definitely on you. And moreover, you need to be very careful. Now, the thing goes like this: the first thing you need to watch are new people around you. Cars, in particular, these will start first and they stay at a 1 feet distance first. This 1 feet means not the 1 feet on scale, but a special language which means 600 meters. The people will look as if they are waiting for someone or have parked their car and are just chilling out. But no, the only thing you need to observe here is if the person, whoever it is, be it male or female, is tapping the steering wheel. If yes, you need to now see which hand is he tapping the steering wheel with. Let me give a general statement here that most of the cases it will be guys, but sometimes say 1 in 100 it will be women. You are fairly new to this. If you have experience in these kinds of keeping an eye on someone spying, you can take this as a crash course. But if you don't have any idea, have an open mind for new vehicles and new people in your locality. This can be male and female both. But I shall refer to this as he here, and you shall consider it for both the genders. Now, having made this clear, the next most important thing is if he is tapping the steering or anything while his phone is on the ear, then there is no call happening. But there are photos being taken, not physical photographs, but the photographs of the location. To explain the thing in technical language, they are taking geomapping of the location to attach their surveillance systems. These systems are of top notch quality and can do anything and everything. Record your heartbeat to your breathing pattern to everything. And yes, these systems can also access to all your information and can install, delete and take any file from your phone, laptop or even can hack into your Wi-Fi networks. Not just this, not just this is done just to keep a watch on you. How I know this? Yes, I know this. The reason I know this is because they needed some key elements from my research and use it into this because for now the way she is managing this, I started getting doubts on this. Now the thing here, this point I have raised here is because what they will do is they will try and get someone from your circle who is very, very close to you. And this is done with 3 points in mind. Point number one, someone who hates you in the family. During the course of my study, what I learned is that the first target for these people are those members of your family who hate you or is jealous about you. This doesn't mean family members, this can also mean friends or someone who is always with you. The main intention behind this is just be aware of every move. The Dirty Secrets, first episode. to plan how to keep an eye on you. This is because the only fear these people would have is that if you change your mind into signing the deal with them. The second trap they can set for you is through your business partner or someone who knows how your business works exactly. From there, a close watch will be kept on your business to make you so helpless that you have only one option but to join hands with them. And to achieve this, they can go to any extent, and they shall achieve this at any cost under any given circumstance. First step is trying to harass your business client into fake police cases, fake deals being signed with them using marked notes. Marked notes here means the currency that may be any of the following: the ones the establishment has doubts in money laundering, or other etc. crimes, which includes bank robbery, dacoit, house robbery, and other such related crimes. The next they do is if the person who is your business partner is interested in investment, then properties whose papers are correct but have clashes with the family, whose cases have gone to court but have not been listed, would be dealt. And this is done because if you don't give in to their pressure, from the friend's side, then they will use your business to make you come under pressure and give in to their demands. The third step they can take and rather will take is they shall try and trap you into income tax, sales tax, uh, ED related fake rates. If you are clean, there is no way out for them. But if you are not, then there is jackpot in store. Most of the times, this happens in such a way that the formula number one, someone for your circle, would be knowing about this and will knowingly plant something in your house which can set the trap for you. But if you are lucky enough, like me, and are of some importance to them, or know some dirty secrets of theirs, nothing would be planted. But again, they will ensure the raid still happens, and you are let off. Here, the follow up action is so strong that they will get in touch with you. Here also, there is another way, a very tricky way, wherein they will never talk to you on the phone or their number, either the person speaks to you or they communicate with you on online platforms like Facebook, Twitter, or Telegram. The calls here mostly on WhatsApp, but the care is taken to ensure all the backup is made so that there is no backup for this. But here again, if new rumors are to be believed, then there are some software. But here again, if rumors are to be believed, there are some softwares which can get into WhatsApp and keep track of the systems and the servers connected to WhatsApp too. I am not sure about this, but there are means to get into this thing now, and I too have started working on it. I too have some data on these transactions, and they will be coming up in front of you in due course. This is the first course of action. Once this is set, they will make every attempt to crack the deal through this. If the deal doesn't go through in some way or the other, then they have other ways to do this. Here again, the most important thing you need to remember here is I think later. Yeah. This episode I will stop here, Minaji. After some break, I will start from something else.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, would you like to say something on
Yeah.
this?
No, I think it's
Anything you
fairly
want?
clear. This is fairly clear what you said.
He's basically written down his research and I mean
Yes. Yes.
how he got to know about things and how the reader should proceed.
Yes.
I know. Okay.
Mm.
All right. And one more thing, I would also like to clear to everyone that some people are trying to spread the rumors. So I would suggest that I may be true, I may not be true, but first hear out whatever is I have to share as Sushant's drives. Okay. And the thing here is that not to be confused about whether this information is true or not. If it is not true, kindly pressurize the agency to, deny it or take action against me for spreading rumors. Or if it is true, then we should acknowledge. That is the only reason for me coming onto the social platform, because despite me trying twice to contact the CBI authorities, though I could meet the NCB authorities and they have taken due action on whatever meeting happened between us, CBI is yet to collect this information from me. So people are saying that I haven't named Ria or Siddharth or anyone. I have just spoken about the previous girlfriend. Let me tell you that we have just about covered 20 to 30% of the entire material of the tribe. Okay, I'm not Ria's PR or something. Everyone knows that everyone knows that Ria is planted. There is
Also,
no way
Deepti,
she,
yeah.
yeah.
Also, see, Deepti, see, these people want, some kind of masala, which you cannot provide because it's a diary, and he's writing it whenever his thoughts are, on a certain subject. So, people, please, you will need to be patient. And for people who don't believe it, you have other channels to go to. Please visit those channels.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's it? All right. Okay. Now, introduction. The rise of the cabal, the syndicate, and the way it got its roots stronger in the country, you might think that you have enough knowledge about after watching Bollywood movies and reading about it on the net. But if you think you have the knowledge about it, then you are wrong. The main reason the underworld came into existence, as per one of the learned persons whom I met during this research, is directly connected to the dirty game of power. Today, if the cabal exists, each and every power greedy, power hungry person is responsible because it has these white collar people who gave rise to the empire of crime. The crime then rose in ranks and now is at its peak, at its supreme. The actual rise of crime happened in the early 80s, and this gave rise to a different area in the country. Till then, whatever was happening only to certain confined areas started to come out in the open, and these things continue to happen more often than not. The broker. This word, the broker, is the civil word for dalal. I have used this as the first chapter so that I can actually explain from the root how exactly this started and how it is working even to this day. This is an important chapter which will run in the next 5 slides, wherein I will explain all the points connected to the underworld and also give out some informations around the basic facts around the underworld. Yet again, till you reach the actual slides which have the proofs, all this informations what I share would be the journey around how we got our hands onto the informations, so that if on earth you decide to go the legal route, then you can answer every single question without thinking even for the split of a second. The photon in a double split and my journey around this and my love for physics got more and more intense when I found out the way these people work. And this is another experiment of mine, which I didn't want anyone to know what I was up to. And this can actually be one of the main reasons that can lead to my death also. The only reason I mention here that this can lead to my death is now when I am writing this as an honest and responsible citizen of this country, I tried to do my duty, and that has always exposed me. But I don't care. The universal law of energy and my own conscience are there to ensure that my mission, my dream, my work will be complete one day. If the journey of life does not have thorns, if the journey of life is very, very smooth, what have I lived if I did not cry with my people? What have I lived if I did not laugh with my people? What have I lived if my life didn't become an example? The broker, my conscience speaks. The broker is the most important link of the syndicate. These people who are the dalals are the most important go-to people who can do anything for the main person. Is the go-to person to he is the one who can do anything for the person who is his contact. Here contact, the word, is most important subject in this context because this is the person who the dalal can go to any extent to protect the contact. This is because the contact also is someone who can do anything for the dalal till he can, but then if someone steps back, he is this contact. Let me explain who is a contact now. Contact is someone who is the boss. He is the man who has at least 25 brokers under him. And he is the person who is connected to the main bosses of the syndicate. And these bosses, this is how a transaction happens. Let me explain it with the simplest of all transactions. It's Hawala. If a Hawala transaction has to be made, the first thing that is done is that the boss contacts this contact and tells him the amount and the commission he is paid. And then the contact connects with the broker. Now the brokers get connected to these people who are called as Angadiyas or Mushtirs. These people are the people arrange the entire setup. And the thing that works is like this. The Dalal is the one who forms the bridge wherein he can take care of all the transactions which are related to the transactions, and depending on the need, he arranges the carriers. I have explained how these carriers work in the earlier slides. So without going into another explanation about it, I shall go ahead and continue now the thing that happens from here when the transaction is ready. He initiates the process of the transfer and the connect from the both the sides, and he is the person who arranges for the mutual agreement wherein there is no confusion around anything that happens around it. Now from here, once the transfer initiates, the contact is someone who shall take care of all the implications that would come into the context. Here is that if God forbid any complications comes, then there is one easy way all this is settled. This settlement works like the game of chess. The person who are the carriers are like the pawns who are sacrificed easily. Then the next in line are the Angadiyas. Here the game ends. This is where the contact comes into the play. He from here makes sure that this doesn't go further and the game ends here. That's why the contact is heavily respected by everyone for the boss. If he has a choice to make between the Dalal and the contact, the boss would definitely go for the Dalal, not the contact, because he can have anyone moderate as a contact, but not anyone can easily play the role of the contact. There is a beautiful explanation of this, which revolves around the death of one underworld gangster, Manohar Arjun Survey, aka Manya Survey, because death is a stand in example for the entire episode of this. But don't entirely believe what is shown in movies is not the entire story. And in fact, the story that is shown or told is the biggest lie in the history of the entire underworld mafia. This is a known story that the then police officer who had the choice to make between Dawood Ibrahim and Manya Survey, and Manya Survey was picked. The reason Manya Survey was picked, people say, is the plan of police, but not. It was not just the police, but there were a lot of other angles attached to it. And this is somewhere or the other connects to some political leaders who don't be in power, but are the dalals who play the major role when a single government doesn't have majority. Had Manya Survey lived for 5 more years, then there would be a lot of changes for the betterment of Mumbai. And this is documented in some select works of select people. And one such person is closely connected to one in my contacts, and hence I know the whole story. The only reason this connection does sound some sense to me is that Manya never went into crime on his own, or not a criminal by choice. He was a situational criminal. The troubles that life put on him, the allegations that rose on him, and the way he overcame those and then stood up is no less than a great, great, great inspirational story. You might be under the impression that I am glorifying a gangster, but the fact is that this gangster's death is the best example of what is the difference between a contact and the dalal, and what happens when the water comes up to the contact's neck, and he has the fear that his boss would step into the picture. The movie John Bhai acted, Shootout at Vadala, you may think is what I am penning down here, but trust me, once I finish, you will know why this entire subject was taken and how important a role it played in shaping up of this dirty game of hired killers in the forces too. The contact here in the context, who is the mastermind behind this encounter, and today this mastermind as on date is one of the most powerful people in the Indian system and also plays a major role in some major decisions around some states too. I would not name him now, but let's call him Raja here for now. So Manya was working mainly for Raja, and Raja used to take Manya's assistance in most of the crimes because Manya had three things which no one did. The first was a learned brain, the second was iron will, and the third was his sweet, innocent face. Till someone from his own team, it's believed that it's the contact himself, exposed him. Manya Survey was not even in the limelight. Here, the mention of the word limelight doesn't mean he was clean, but when compared to the others, he was far, far, far better. The only mistake Manya Survey did was he never went against his conscience. And this pricked the contact, the boss was in the favor of Survey. But he was one such person who could turn the tables around for him. But the contract played the dirty game of death, and this became the first recorded encounter in the history of Bombay, then Mumbai now. A person who had different dreams went to a different path, and I would not be wrong if I call him someone who was made into a criminal. I am sorry. I would never be wrong a person who had different dreams and wanted to go into a different direction. But one person's ego gets hurted, and to satisfy his ego, and because of this person's ego and another person's greed, an innocent person who was on a total different track, he came into this track and then destroyed his life. The reason I am mentioning about Manya survey in this detailed way is because person became one of the main reasons why the underworld shot to fame. The main reason for me to write this is not just this angle, but the other most important angle that I had explained earlier, the rise of another dawn, and why Manya survey became a pain to them. The people whom I spoke to, as I had said earlier, had just one opinion that this man was a gem who never did the wrong thing, nor let people do the wrong. I am not glorifying any crime here, but the thing we need to understand here the reason he committed the crime, and what he was as a person, and what led to his fall, and how this led to the rise of someone who potentially became the uncrowned king of the underworld. The political setup made Manya survey, and the reason for his death was he didn't want to promote drugs anywhere in Mumbai. And this was one thing which made him fall down. He never thought twice before he did anything else. But when the question of drugs came, he was someone who was always against it. This is what someone who was very close to Manya and Munir told me when I met him for the first time. The story he told me shook to the core. The story he told me shook me to the core. I won't name the person now, but one person who was very, very power hungry, and when this news reached the ears of Manya Survey, who back then was on his prime, then one incident happened which shook the person who was power hungry to the core. The person who was till now having a happy day in every second of his life got the shock of his life when his first consignment of drugs got burnt by Manya Survey. Got burnt by Manya service people. There started the rivalry. There was one another person who was against getting drugs into Mumbai. He was none other than Haji Mastan. But the only difference between the both was Haji Mastan was not as strict as Manya survey and was always concerned about his image in the public. But Manya was literally hard struck on this and was hell bent with just one point: no to drugs, no to drugs, no to drugs. This man had to be put to rest because back then drugs were not this seriously dealt, no matter what anyone has to say on this. I go by the facts. And the facts say that back then the drugs angle was not that big, wherein, when compared to other issues that were at large, this was not that big an issue. Alcohol, duplicate alcohol and drugs were two enemies in the life of Manya Survey. Manya Survey was an important part of my research just because, as far as I know, this was the person who was into some kind of serious work which was doing good for the society. This I came to know much later. Initially, what I had known about him was not much. And always our industry made sure even this story was shown in the way the industry always does. The entire narrative of the story was changed and used to the benefit of the industry. The facts that have been shown in many movies these days are not true. And it is not true because when I was trying to understand what is the main link between human and child trafficking, I met Mr. X. And this Mr. X told me that Munir, Raghu, and Manya Survey always were against this and drugs. And this was one such person who always stood against this. And trust me, this Mr. X is someone who has taken this pain long, long back. And one more very important angle to the story is that was because of survey, a lot of things were going in a human way in the underworld. And he was the main reason who was trying to keep in check the entry of a lot of things. I'm sorry. And he was the main reason who was trying to keep in check the entry of the international syndicate into the underworld life of Mumbai. The person went ahead and explained various instances wherein it was one person or one team which was always the hurdle in the way of youngsters from getting into drugs. And moreover, he always had a soft corner for people who had nothing or people who were a nobody, wanted to achieve something in their life, and was always standing in support of them. Now the connection why I am writing in detail about Manya Survey is because he is real unsung hero in life. Because he the one who saved actresses like I won't name them now, but one actress who passed away some years after Manya's death had credited Survey for saving her from the eyes of some dirty onlookers in a shabby incident on the streets of Mumbai. Not just this, there was another movie which was produced by a government organization, and as a conscience, this time the producer was the target of the underworld. And yet again, the person who came to rescue was someone from Manya's team only. The person who were the cast of the team. I have someone whom I could connect on close personal angle. And I asked the same question to the person. And the response I got was the only reason that person stepped in and stopped the harassment that was happening because the film was for a social cause and the subject was also good. The director of the movie too was harassed, and Manya had made sure that he made the director feel at ease. And the dialogue that was used in the movie, Shootout at Vadala, Ki Aa Gaya Mumbai Ka Naya Baap, Manya Survey, was delivered to this same director loud and clear in such a way that my person whom I got the info from said this, eardrum bursted out. Eardrum bursted out. And the voice still rings in his ears. That one person, though, was bad, was like if all in the city were blind, the man with one eye is the king. And if I want to pick out one guy from all the bad guys who would live up to this proverb, then for me it is Manya Survey. These were the exact words used by the person I spoke to. And this person had then directed me to meet some more people if I wanted to know more on the subject. Although later there were complications because of some of these people whom I met. But I would be ever thankful to this person because of a blind person who had no idea what to do and how to start to find answers for the problems which did not let him sleep in peace, found the right direction. And when I named the person with proof in the following slides, the suffering in pain and is overburdened with the bad karmas of these people, and this burden has to be released so that we can at least hope the generation to follow will give more value to values than money. All this is only possible if these people's masks are removed and they are made naked in front of the public. And this has to happen as self effort because nothing can be expected from the agencies. Some powerful figures and characters have played a major role in this, and these characters have changed roles in the due course of time. And one such very important character was one mother who plotted the death of her own son, only to get her karma back when she too died at the hands of her wrongdoings. I won't be taking names here, but will give a hint on who the character is from this story. This character is one of the most important characters in this research of mine because this lady led a life and did so many things during her lifetime, and her actions led to formation of certain important groups of people who now are a cancer to the nation. This mother was from a very, very influential family and was always held in great respect and considered to be one of the most strongest characters. When chapters on Indian women were opened, and this mother was also a manly kind of lady who has been the center subject of some books for a masculine sex appeal. This mother also has been the queen of controversy and has been the center figure amongst some real tough decisions that actually, in the longer run, were beneficial for our country too. This mother is believed to be involved in the death of her own son. I'm sorry. But in the longer run were beneficial for our country too. This mother is believed to be involved in a lot of crimes which have not been reported till date. This mother is also believed to be one of the main reasons to cause the death of her own son. And as the curse goes, if some reports are to be believed, and some hearsay stories from people whose words can be taken as the words of God are to be believed, is no myth but a fact. With this hint given, I shall further use the word women to refer this mother because I wanted to pass on the message to you, my friend, so as to try and give you some grounds to guess whom am I actually referring to and what possibly could be her role or what possibly could have made me mention about her here. There are many reasons for it, and I shall take you through it one after the other. The next slide I shall write in detail about her. But before we go there, a small round of introduction can actually help in the ice breaking despite being born in a very powerfully connected political family. This woman did not get things turned in her favor the easy way and had to go through a lot of struggle to make a mark in the initial days. Though there was constant guidance from all corners, but the struggle this woman went through, my God, if she was actually a little better, then the entire narrative would be different. And the entire scenario would lead to two things. One is super prosperity, second one is total destruction. But but maybe creator had other plans for her and she went in a way where that is another huge story altogether. But these deaths and the payback of karma gave rise to two groups of people who announced their entry to prominence in royal style: the scams in our country and its connections to the underworld and Bollywood. I would not be wrong to say that the scams that happened in our country had the angle, the politicians, and the people in power, no doubt, but it was very closely linked to the underworld and the Bollywood too. To explain this, I would first need you to understand how important it is to understand the backdrop preparations around these scams. Thus, sticking to my research in the chapter The Dirty Secrets and the importance of this SIM card and how big a loss it was for these people that they could lay their hands on the Aadhaar alteration interface, as I would call it now. But before we go there and start that, let me point out some interesting facts that will actually make you believe that I was on the right track and I was doing well in my fight after I got betrayed. And yes, the reason for this betrayal, be it whatsoever, it made me strong from within, even more stronger to emerge out more victorious in this fight and get my hands on almost everything to end this dirty, vicious cycle of crimes that are happening in the society today. I am to start an important chapter here now. And as always, before I proceed, let me remind you once more that I have made some mistakes. And the time you would be actually reading this, I would be put to task or will have left this world. And that will be the only reason you are able to read this. While reading this, also remember one thing: this is not just my effort, but the effort collectively of me and a lot of people who were actually put to rest before they opened up. And yes, these scams also have led to some deaths which have been brushed aside as accident or still remain mysterious. The connections between scams and deaths have been so deep that during this journey of my research, I have gotten in touch with a lot of people who actually are confused and without answers. And I feel so sorry for the condition they are in, and also sometimes feel helpless that despite having almost everything needed to help out these people, I'm actually doing nothing. And yes, when I wanted to actually do something, the agencies never supported me. And the list of shocks that I went through, I don't know how to explain them in words to you, but have made the best effort so far and would continue to make the same effort so that I can keep it really simple and clear so that anyone who lays their hands on it gets it without much brainstorming. The reason this is made is because it took time to study, some time to prepare, some time to get a team of like minded people work together, some time to analyze the situation, and have made some mistakes to realize that anyone who wants to do good has to go through a test. And this test can also mean that the person who have to give up his or her own life, I don't know what life has in store for me, and I am prepared to face anything that is in store for me. But I am sure that the people who have done wrong will be punished one day. If I live to see it, I would be grateful to God for it. And if I die and this work of mine becomes the reason for it, I would be thankful to God Almighty for making this happen. Because at the end of the day, Mother Earth is. Yeah, just a second. That's it for now, I think. Miraji, can I just take a 2 minutes break, please?
Yeah,
I will
please,
come back.
please. Yeah. Please.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, viewers, we've heard these chapters or what she explains as slides. A lot of this explains the inner workings of Bollywood and, of course, the underworld. And the way, you see, she's also spoken about the hierarchy in the police regime, and that certain police do not, are not completely evil. There are some good sides to them. So that we've also noticed. In fact, there have been some exceptionally good police officers in the Mumbai police. If you look at some of my previous videos, I've covered, a particular hero in the Mumbai police, who died after he got cancer. So amongst everyone, there is good and bad, but then they have to follow a system, and they are all, victims of powerful politicians. So, and friends, I see a lot of comments saying that, see, whether this is true or not. See, these readings are not for to prove to you whether they are right or wrong. It is up to you whether you want to believe it or not. See, it's totally your it's totally your a prerogative whether you want to believe or not. But for those who want to believe it, please make it easy for them without putting in interruptions. Yes, Deepti.
Miraji, it's already 9. Shall we
Yeah,
end it
yeah,
today here?
yes,
Or
yes.
because
Okay,
the woman because the chapter of the woman continues more and there is
yes,
more about
yeah.
her. So,
So
but it
we
will
can
take
do
more
this.
time if I
Yeah, we can cover this on
start
Monday.
about that.
Same time, viewers. Deepti will be with us on Monday, and we will continue the series. Thank you so much, Deepti, for your valuable time and your patience.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Manager. Thank you,
Good
Manager.
night,
Thank you.
Deepti.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Good night.